I was, working with the new you, and then I fell in love with a narcissist, and now I'm taplined by her, and I have taplined her, I guess, because I cannot get rid of it now.
Well, you've agreed. See, it's a choice. Everything breaks down to choice, and then you agree. It's just like you see, it's reflective in the what's going on. They got agreement with the masks. Look at most people wear the mask, and you agreed.
Yeah.
And so the boys, it's your agreement. It's like what you have for dinner. You decided to have pizza for dinner, and you got sick or something. And I'm not saying pizza makes you sick, but I'm just saying you decided that it looked good, but now all of a sudden, but then again, you can turn it around and learn from that. And that should motivate you, even with the tap lines. I've been there myself, even with the tap lines, to more focus on the isness. You see what I'm saying? And then guess what? Watch what happens. You are your own experience. You can get through it. Just like a soldier going through the jungle. Whoa, you got this big jungle here, and it's tough, and the enemy's out there. But you know what? As long as you have that intent, it's all about that intent. And when the boys see that intent, they know your intent. They will back you. Okay? You can take care of it. You're toughy. You've been through a lot. So again, we all get involved with things here, and me too. And people take advantage of what I do, and they have many times. And I learned from that too, because I'm here just to show everyone how to wake up and be self-sufficient and real. But it's a real focus with your real awareness, and you've got to figure that out first. And so, the old idea of soul and all this stuff like that, that's all really cute, but there's no definition in there. And really, that idea, just that word, an idea like God and all that, that's all controlled by the reptilians. And this is what people don't see. Those are reptilian words, and control. Yeah, the boys don't use that. They don't use that reference anymore. They did to baby things along, like Paul said, you are soul, but there was no definition there because everybody was baby brain at the time. It was too much for them. They couldn't understand the isness. It was hinted at in a few of the books. I think it was Far Country. Rebazar hinted at the isness, and it's recognizing this reality. Well, that's where I came in. I recognized it. In 2001, they gave me the rod of power, etc. And in 3 years, I had to step back for a while because it was really heavy. And I went through 3 years of hell to bring myself back. But that was a real lesson. But I was focused. My intent never changed. But I had to deal with all the stuff and then eventually figure out the new way, which Rebazar brought me back in 07. And because of my intent, etc. And I was to do this anyhow, but it was a struggle. It's a huge struggle. And then to figure out the new presentation and all of this, you see. And so anytime it comes out new, just like when Paul brought it out, his presentation, the other spiritual paths and Vatican and all these knuckleheads, they all got pissed off and whatever. It's like, who is this guy? What is he saying? Oh, he plagiarized and all this stuff. But that's not the reality. All these things are references. And he had the intent, he had the real connection, etc. That's all that mattered. So he played the master game and all that stuff for that time. But that's all gone. That's all nonsense. It's all taken over by the reptilians. Joni was there when I was back there with Darwin and to Harold. But Joni's always been there. She manipulates the whole thing. She's reptilian. Many experiences with her on the real side. She's a real witch. But she stays in the background. Everybody's tap line. The more initiations you have in any of these things, the more tap lined you are. And Harold is in such a darkness you can't even see him, etc. Most of these people are just front runners, like the Vatican, even the Dalai Lama, and all these people. They're all bastards. They really are. Yeah. And so your experience there, the idea is this: think of this as like a boot camp, and that is that you're crawling under the machine gun fire. Okay, you took it on. You decided to do it. You decided to agree to that, your relationship. But now you can learn from it and be stronger for it and recognize what's going on, not begging or praying for healings. No, there's no such thing, praying to the gods, etc. But now you can decide, because you're a free being of real light, you can recognize this. So that's part of your journey. How fun, huh? Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? Yeah, it's hell and it's fun. Yeah. Yeah, but it's real. But you know what? Once you start recognizing the isness, and the sun is a good example, it's just an example. Okay. You have to recognize what it is showing, what it is sharing. And if you don't, that's the first step. Well, most people just go back to their little la la land life and the stories and the happy times and chasing happiness. It's always chasing happiness, isn't it? And you'll chase it into the next lifetimes. Yeah, you really will. So it's a new day. It has been. So I stepped into all this, just like when Paul came. It's a new day. Yeah, but it's even more so now. Yeah, a whole lot more so. And a few people see it. And I would suggest listening to Kevin's, experiences, etc. And Kevin is, Kevin has a lot of wonderful experience. He defines these things very, very well. And it is long, and it is sometimes hard to listen to Kevin, but I love it. I love to listen to Kevin, and sometimes Pierce comes in, etc. And, and other people too. The boys give certain experiences, Rebazar and the boys give certain experiences to certain people, for what they can take. And if they're real risk takers like Kevin is in his experiences, because he's focused and he's a risk taker and he wants to do it, he's proving it. Yeah. And so he's the great witness, and many people have been, and they've come and gone. Had two great seers, Sandy and Claudia, and they're wonderful. But you know what? They step back. And I watched them go back down. Oh yeah, I watched them go back. They've decided their personal lives are more important, and so they stopped with what we were doing. We had a project. We call it the Galaxy Project, but you have to be invited to that, and it's very special. And that is that after 2 years and had so much experience on the real side. Well, hey, and book 2, Heather. 20 years with Rebazar and the boys of Gopal Das. They loved her. But at a certain point, when her grandkids came, she said, no, these guys are dead. They're in the past. I said, are you sure? She goes, yeah. So little by little, we separated, and other people came into my life, and they came and gone too. And eventually, now Ava. Ava has in her dream book, we shared it from many years past, in past lifetime, that we were to come together to do this. So I brought her into the New Wave S. And what I did, the weather changed in Huntington Beach. I saw it go through all the 5 levels on the real side, etc. What a difference. Yes, and many people have had the experience. So people make choices, and I know it's not an easy journey. It really isn't, to be really focused. But you see, the complexity of creation, you have all this variety going on, which is fine. I mean, it's all part of it. You don't have to leave creation. But the real universes looks like they don't exist or couldn't even exist, but they're everything. But you have to recognize them. It's not about initiations or belonging to something or whatever. That's why I never did the membership. That's why I don't do anything. I leave things open, because again, I want to see who has the courage to step up and be real and 100% sincere with figuring this out. And that's what it's all about. And, again, because I take care of myself, and that's what I expect from others too. Everybody do their part. That way we're all equal. Nobody babies somebody else. All these spiritual paths and whatever, they're all baby brains. They all want to be baby, and that's fine. That's all they want to do. That's fine. But that's what I haven't decided. I haven't decided that. And Rebazar is the same. And Paul, they're no nonsense. No, they're very focused. And as long as I focus on this like this, which I always will, because I've set it up, they back me. They don't back anybody else. There's nothing there. All these other things like the corporation, I was there 31 years. It's an empty warehouse. The lights are off. Nobody paid the bill. There's nothing. But it looks good on the surface world. All these things look good on the surface world. Again, just like the governments and whatever. The cabal, the monarchy, especially the queen and all that, they're all reptilians. They set up all this stuff with Enlil and Inky and the Queen of Orion, which we put away in the Phantom Zone years ago. Yes. And there's a lot more going on with all of this. I know Inky and Enlil. And so, yeah, it's a big adventure. I take on the adventure and a whole lot more. It's so much fun. And so those that step up and really have the heart for it, they will be shown more so than just this surface world. The surface world is taking place. We don't negate anything, but we recognize everything for what it really is and not pretend that it's something else just because we want it to be with our personal self, which is fine. But you stay in the passing dream. Have fun. So your tap lines are fine, young lady. Your tap lines are fine. You can deal with them. You'll recognize them, and you'll be tougher. And then you'll recognize them the next time to where you don't need that anymore. Yes, because you'll become more aware. Just learn to focus on the is. Learn that recognition more so than your mind or even your intuition. Learn to recognize the real you. And from there, the all is. And then it will recognize you. The thing being is that you recognize it. The thing being is everything equals itself in life. You can't have more than what you can decide and recognize and earn. You can't. Just like here, you know, you can go beg for money. Maybe you get some money, but really, you got to work your way in some way. You've got to earn it in some way. Everything equals itself. That's how life is. So in creation, we have cause and effect karma. In the real universe, it's an isness that you recognize, and it's more than any real freedom than you can decide, because there is no freedom at all simply chasing ideas in creation. There's no freedom here. There never will be, because it's all cause and effect. There can't be. There can't even be any real recognition. All you do is identify with things that have been created. That's all you're doing. That's all creation is. It's a simulator, but we need creation. We need the bodies to go through, and eventually, when we're all aware, we don't need them. But that's a big decision. So yes, young lady, yeah, tap lines are very real, and they're going on all the time. We're being affected all the time, just like we're sitting here on Skype. We're being affected with tap lines, Wi-Fi tap lines. Okay, we take that on, though. You know, as soldiers, we take that on. We take on the burden. We take on the challenge. You know, and at the same time, for those that have the courage to step up and share, you know, Rebazar is the answer. The Rebazar risk takers. Will you share what Rebazar is sharing? It's a big decision. Can you figure it out? Anything else, Gunnur?
No, thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, it's all for you, sweetie. It's all for you. It's not about me. It's really not about me. That's why I don't do the face thing and the master thing and all this nonsense. It's not about me. It's what I see. I see it. I share it in references. People take it for whatever. I explain it like now. It's not about me. We're just here. We just manage. I just manage the idea here in creation so people have a chance to get beyond all this belief nonsense, gods, souls, spirits, saviors, especially masters, gurus, presidents, queens, all this nonsense. We went through it, just like we went through high school. Now we're done. Now we take care of ourselves, even on the physical. Hey, take care of yourself. All through it, you know, be self-sufficient, you know, as the best you can. You know, take care of things. Face it. That's what it's all about. It's not going and hiding in some commune, you know, etc. You know, where we are in Mexico, you know, people think it's some kind of commune. It ain't that. You ain't going to get here unless you have a real focus and a real sincerity, 100% with what we're doing. And our focus is to, you know, share something real and beneficial that really works with all life, even on this earth, etc. So I use the marketing ploy of save this earth, but the idea is can't save the earth. Each person has to decide. But we are here to help those people, show them how they can step by step do better here and eventually recognize their real awareness. And then you become more aware and then you know what to do. All life makes sense. It really does. So it's time for a new definition. This is what I brought with the new presentation. It took me a lot to figure this out. And if this wasn't here, all you'd have is these little spiritual paths. You'd have nothing. You'd only have a look good, sound good stuff, just like the politicians. That's all you'd have. You're lucky I'm here. You're lucky I did this. And I'm very grateful to people like you and whatever that simply step up and just learn to be real. That's all. We all become equal. We support each other realistically. In other words, we recognize what's taking place. We recognize what the real guides are doing, more than just babysitting and the little members begging the master or having questions answered or listening to sound good old wisdom. Okay, what does that do? Okay, make you feel emotionally good. You know, every one of those members, and Claudia and Sandy saw it too. Claudia and Sandy, they were there 50 years. They saw it too. And Sandy was shown the new you and all this stuff by Rebazar. And they went to one of the seminars, etc. Sandy saw it. She's here. Saw every one of those people at seminars with a reptilian on them. And all that so-called spiritual stuff, the light and all that that's underneath the temple, it's all a bloodbath of reptilians and vampires. But you can't see it. Yeah. All they see is the foo-foo that Joni created, the Maya, and she taplines him. She uses Harry as he's on stage. And all that attention goes through Harry, and she pulls that loosh, they call it with the reptilians, and she uses that to trap everybody. Very real. Yeah, and anybody can see this when they really want to see it, and that's the entire world. You know, you've got all this, the banking system, the politics, the queens and all that. They're all over this. Where all the kidnapping goes. We know this. All goes to the queen. They kidnap these children. They eat them. Yeah. This is the real world. Yeah, this is the real world. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm also very much involved in this child kidnapping and trafficking and satanic abuse. Yes, they're doing it. They're eating, drinking blood. They're doing all kind of stuff. Also,
yeah, it's very real. Yeah, it's the real world. And, you know, Val and I like it. I like adventure movies, and they're hardcore because, you know, and I'm fine with that. I don't watch La La Land movies. Very seldom. Once in a while we watch a comedy. Well, we watch this hardcore stuff. And like Arnold and, you know, Rambo and James Bond and Bourne and just on and on, all this bloody, because this is how the world is, so that you're ready to go. Steven Seagal, etc. You know, sometimes Rebazar would appear to me as Steven Seagal on the real side. Oh yeah. He likes to play that. They play different roles. And it's like kicking
South Park, sir.
You what?
South Park.
You what?
In an episode in South Park, they go to the space and they saw a creature and they could say who they want to see. They can choose the form of the creature.
Well, they're giving you the messages. The reptilians in the programs and stuff, they're giving you the messages. Hey, it's in The Simpsons, it's in movies, etc. You know, it's all over the place, because when you understand how creation works, everything relates to the reality life is. No matter what you're deceived by, what you're deceived by, or so-called lies or deception, whatever, it's all the same thing. It's just how you see it. And as long as you agree that it's your reality in some way, then you've made that agreement until you figure out what else there is. But everything, you know, no matter what the deceptors do, no matter what the monarchy and the cabal do, they're simply spreading a reference to life, to the true reality life is. But the thing is that each one of us here, we decide to figure it out or not, or we just decide to agree to the front that has been created. Just like when you know, Bank of America, Citibank, whatever, those are fronts. That's not the real banking system. I know the real banking system. That's not it. But it looks good. Okay, the little people making their deposits and having their checking accounts and having their cell phones and cashing checks, whatever, that's not the real banking system at all. And when I've introduced people to the real banking system, they just don't believe it. They just think it's like a conspiracy theory. But I know people all over the world. I knew the Count Albert of the ancient Chinese family personally for Ava and I for 4 years. He was supposed to fund the vegetable project, but he was too afraid to face his family. He came here to do this. And Rebazar brought him to me. I meet different people around the world. And I saw Albert the day before he left. And he was not doing good. Rebazar appeared like Rod Serling of the Twilight Zone. He was sitting in back of me. And then I saw Rebazar take him. Albert went to the Twilight Zone. He thought he was going to the 7th level. He didn't even figure anything out. He's so attached and mostly attached to his Chinese family because he was raised with a silver spoon. Seen so many people. Joan Clem, too. And hey, I asked Sandy and Claudia as witnesses. The reptilians took her away when she went to the real side. She had a little light around her head. Claudia says, oh, she's got a little light around her head. I saw her. I said, yeah, that's the light of knowledge. That's what Paul started off with, the light and sound. That was the light of knowledge off to the astral realm. You need some knowledge to get going here, and that's the astral light. But it soon disappeared. And then the reptilians came and took her away, and she gladly went with them. But the thing is that, see, Claudia and Sandy saw them as reptilians because that's what they were. But from Marjorie's viewpoint, they looked like regular people, like Joni. She didn't recognize where she's going, and she's fine with it. We tried to talk to her on the real side, telling her about Rebazar and whatever, etc. She wasn't interested. She wanted to stay with Harry. Oh, so many real side experiences. Again, compared to this La La Land here, there is no La La Land. But see, once you got the focus and you learn to recognize the isness, that's Kevin here. He's on the adventure. You want to go back to this baby brain stuff? No. I'd rather be Rambo and Arnold out there, kicking ass. The thing being is that, and it's not about a battle. It's not that at all. Those things do take place, but they destroy the attitudes. The thing being is that it's about awareness. When you become aware, when you are this light being, you become aware. Guess what? Nothing can touch you. And you have the greater experience of life more so than any happiness, sensation, thrill, or whatever that we've went through. We went through this stuff, okay? And we still do it once in a while. Hey, I like a good burrito once in a while, or, etc. Glass of juice, that's a thrill. And, just jumping in the ocean, that's fine. But, that's just maintaining what I'm here for. But I love the focus. I love the focus and recognizing this reality. And when I really focus all my bodies, it comes down to this physical senses, I actually start to cry because it's so real. It's so much more real than this fabrication. But then I have a great consideration, compassion for everybody that's stranded and stuck here. That's why the boys are still here. That becomes real. And I don't care how long I'm here, how long it takes. I'm doing this. Yeah. So this is my adventure. That's my decision. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. It's an open field. Will you get down on the playing field? Will you do it, or are you going to sit in the stands and just watch the game? Yeah, it takes a real risk taker. And you got to stand real with the all is to be free. And you got to recognize it too. And so Rebazar and Paul are there, but they're not going to baby anybody anymore. They've already done that. They've already done the babysitting. No more. It's like Steven Seagal, and it's like being a Navy SEAL or whatever. You have to step up and get real and get on with it and keep going. I know that's a lot, but I wanted to say it.